Hello and welcome to our playthrough of Law of Aethera, the Lost Druid. This is part 1 of 3, and I am joined by different members of Critfail. We will quickly let them introduce themselves before we jump into the game.
I am Emily.
I'm Kelly.
I'm Ken.
And I'm an Adam, aka Raven Insane.
Eons ago, the mountain exploded, a cataclysm of never-before-seen fury. As the centuries passed, water filled the massive caldera. This became known as the Crystal Lake. What remains of the mountain is now a spire that reaches out of the water and is an island. Today, the island is home to the city of Fano, the city on the lake. The city is not what it once was, however. The king and queen are gone, and their son has not been seen for some time. The city was left in the hands of 3 groups to steward the city, and in this they have failed. Crystal Lake stretches between the twisted spires of mountain peaks with a massive wall built into the side of the mountain range, and boats of various sizes sail the lake. In its centre, the ivory buildings of stone can be seen from afar. Grassy hills with large towers form a sweeping castle, docks with a great harbour, and the famous lighthouse. As dawn starts to break over the mountains, the small merchant boat which you find yourselves in is making its way towards the city. The Lake Spirit has 2 decks. The main deck is the working area of the boat. The lower deck has 2 rooms off of a narrow hallway. The vessel does not carry heavy cargo, but there are sacks and some wooden crates. The sound of the sails folding in the winds, the water splashing against the hull, and the seabirds, which have kept you almost constant companions since you have left dock. As dawn starts to creep over the top of the mountain range, you find yourselves on deck.
Well, I am Norlin. I am a mage. I come from the great city of Indurasia. And we are located on the northeast corner of the lake. We're nestled into the mountainside, and it is a town of many people there study magic. And basically, I am on this ship because there's 3 tenets to knowledge. One of them is education, which clearly I've received at the hands of the greatest masters of the arcane arts. The second is righteousness, that is my natural birthright. Being from Indurasia, I'm superior to any others. The third is courage, and while I am renowned for great courage among my people, I don't have much experience dealing with the outside world, so I've decided to join my lessers and experience all that is available outside.
Do you let everyone know that everyone is lesser?
It's important that the lessers know their position.
Oh, so are you just, if we meet you, do you tell us that?
I think it comes across real quick.
Absolutely.
From the attitude,
Absolutely.
okay.
It's a given, so it's got to come across real.
The fact that you're asking these questions, I I question your intelligence that you might not understand that you are, in fact, my lesser.
Yaffy has not been particularly sociable with people for the majority of the voyage. She's seemed a little bit withdrawn. She has spent a lot of time actually up on the deck, sort of looking out first at just open water, but now at the beautiful sight we have before us of the lighthouse, the castle that is visible. She has red skin, red hair, and horns, being a tiefling, but the one thing she has that's not red is she's got quite bright gold eyes. While not necessarily used to being on boats, oddly comfortable with the howling, rushing wind, even though it has at times driven other people off the deck, she has been quite happy to stand there against it.
Surveillance is found on deck most of the time. As many of her fellow citizens from Red Rock, she is tall and solidly built. Coming from the city known as the Protector of the West, they are well known for their armies and their fighters and tactics and just general soldieriness, I would put it. She's kind of given that up for the time being at least, and is on the boat heading to the island to look up her sister, who married and moved away about 6 months ago, and their family hasn't really heard from her. So, being at loose ends for a couple of different reasons, she has decided to make for the city and check up on her sister. She finds herself up on deck most of the time because it's just a lot easier than the narrow hallways and the small rooms down below. And she'll spend a lot of time exercising. If any of the crew and stuff need things moved, she's very happy to help out where she can, using her considerable strength. Right now, at the as they approach the island, she's been sitting on the deck up against a corner, feeding some of the birds that have been following them on the boat for so long. She's found that they like the corn kernels that she's been tossing in the air, and she's made that a bit of a game. So she sits there with one knee up, tossing these kernels to the birds. She's not wearing her armor and her other soldierly outfits at the present time, more muted in earth tones. But you can see that she has a very intricate tattoo that comes up over her back. You can see it at her neck and shoulders, down her arms at times, and to the back of her hands. And it would seem to be some kind of tentacles with scales wrapped around and down to the back of her hands. She is just watching as the island approaches and enjoying the sight.
Dyra, a small elf from Foxenara, tends to be, or has tended to be, a little bit shy, having been, from what everyone saw, forced upon the boat to travel to this destination. Dyra tends to keep to himself. He's pretty awkward when talking to people. He might let out a little meepish hello when approached. He doesn't seem to have that much in the way of social skills, and has generally kept to himself for the most part of the journey. He's often seen sitting up on deck with his hand over the side, just brushing the waves. Yeah, as the waves lap up against the side of the brig. Typical with many elves, he is smallish. Dyra stands, a solid 5'5" high, 120 pounds, and he has shaved head on one side with the hair sweeping down, very long down past his shoulders over to the right, and he's always carrying a short sword on his back and a dagger at each side of his belt, and he doesn't look like anything much. Like he doesn't look as though he's combat oriented. He doesn't look as though he's got skill or a trade craft, because he just seems to just stare blankly and doesn't really engage much in any form of conversation. Dyra, the others noted that as they were on the boat, getting on from the previous port, Dyra was actually forced onto the boat by a large, jovial-looking, elvish man. And Dyra's certain situation stems from the fact that he spent much of his life in solitude at the top of the Broken Top Mountains. And he sort of shied away from much of society, and hence the reason why he's so reclusive and awkward when approached.
And just as a note, Vi will be happy to talk with any of you until the point where she talks and you guys don't respond, and then she just wanders away eventually.
Yeah, you could have walked up to Dyra and, "Hey, how's your day?" "Good." And Dyra would have just uncomfortably turned around and walked away.
I noticed you were frog marched aboard there by someone at the last port. There's got to be a story in that. Why don't you come up and just chat for a while as we pull into port and watch the city?
And Dyra's still walking away. Frog march? Frog? What's frog? I'm not a frog.
Forced, you know.
What? And he's looking way up at you. It's like he's like this small little man looking up at this giant thing.
Oh, little
Thing?
man. Why is she a thing? Do you think you're a halfling? What are you doing?
If you don't have to tell me why you were forced aboard if you don't want to. But you might want to just stay up and watch as we approach the city. It looks like a pretty interesting place.
Just friend thought I could make friends, and he turns and shies away and walks up to the bow of the boat to look at the approaching city.
That one doesn't seem for conversation. He's nervous, I gather.
Yeah, I guess if his friend wanted him to make other friends, that's going to be quite the task for him.
Seems so.
Hey, do you want to feed the birds? I'll hold out a handful of corn kernels.
Why not? And she will hold out her hand and take some.
Doesn't seem to be many boats out.
No. Do you just throw this at the birds? How have you been doing this?
Yep, just toss it up in the air. They catch about
Alright.
half of them.
And she'll toss some corn and sort of watch interested as some seagulls dive for it, missing some, catching some.
Be nice to get off this boat. It's been a while.
I suppose it has.
I don't know why I'm going, but Yaffe, right?
That's the name.
Why are you going? I'm looking for my sister here.
Sister. I am looking for, shall we say, a change of pace.
From?
Well, you're looking for family. I'm avoiding mine.
That's unfortunate.
Not really. I have plenty to spare. What, you want a sister? I have 5.
No, I don't need any more either. No, we just haven't heard from her since she's moved here, so.
Well, if
And
you
I had-
ever need a spare,
I can adopt you?
I don't know. I meant I have extra. I have, well, I'm suppose I have 10.
Oh, wow. That is a big family.
Hmm.
I can see why you'd want to get away from them all.
Just looking for a change.
Yeah, hopefully you can find it here. Looks like a very pretty city.
That it does. Very shiny.
But the only thing I know of it is what they say in the streets in Red Rock is that it doesn't have its own army and stuff. It's fairly defenseless when it comes to that sort of thing, and I guess it's an island, so maybe they don't need it.
I'll try not to start any wars then.
I'm more worried about that would mean that there's a strong criminal element.
Oh, well, it is what it is, I suppose.
Well, if you need any help, just yell.
I will, thank you.
As night gives way to the day, you can see the island more clearly ahead. Home of Fano. Several ships are making their way there or heading out for other destinations around the lake. The sound of the many gulls is the first thing you hear from the city as they busily go about their tasks of stealing anything edible and anything else that they can get their beaks on. There are many ships both loading and unloading cargo along the large dock. Cargo nets, pulleys, cranes, and the sweat of the workers are all being used. As the Lake Spirit begins to position itself to dock, a voice can be heard above the din. A woman is standing upon some crates and is calling to a decently sized crowd, which has gathered to hear her.
I see the gloom written on your downtrodden faces, and I see your bloodied hands, cracked and calloused, as they try to put food on your family's tables. But it's all in vain. In these late days, those who work their hands to the bone receive a mere pittance for their sweat. Our precious city quivers with fear. Who do we blame for this? It's not the sailor who earns their wage bringing in the catch that feeds your bellies, nor is it the merchant bringing their goods to market. But be not mistaken. I do cast blame. I cast blame upon the vile merqua that stains our docks violet and plagues the hulls of our ships. Its foul tendrils corrupt the good creatures of this land and vex our citizens. But does Spira do anything about it? The monarchy has fallen. Prince Aeron sits up in his castle, lost in lunacy. Those of his servants who have tried to save him from the milk of madness have themselves become hopelessly lost. The Spiran guards have no honor. No longer the servant of the meek and humble, they harass and threaten anyone who they feel stands in their way. And trust me, good people, it's the lot of you, the Order of Indos. Burdened with the duty of guiding us to the future, they now dwell only on the past, gazing into the endless deep, waiting for some truth to bubble up to the surface. Worthless, the whole lot. But what of us, the Eshans? We are mighty! We are the strength of the trade winds. We have not been broken by oppression. Indeed, our bonds have renewed our vigor. Are we not then brazen and bold? Are we not then wise enough and truthful? If together the three orders are broken, if they cannot move in harmony, then they are a useless relic of the past. We are the order that has risen as others have fallen, and our allegiance lies with the people. We must take this city and reclaim its former glory. Noble Eshans, my dear people, we must move together and take what rightfully belongs to us. Fano is ours.
When she finishes, the crowd starts to move away. The captain walks over to you. Well, You're here now. This city has opportunities, but it isn't the jewel that it once was. Good luck to you. He turns back to sort out the unloading of the cargo.
Oh, Captain, before you head back to your crew there, do you know what she was talking about with the orders of the city? Do you know what they are?
He says the city itself is under a custodianship, but not a very good one. The royal family is still technically in charge, although such as that is. The Spirans are meant to be the guards of the city, but they are now corrupt and bullies more than an honourable force. And the Indos were meant to look to the future, to see where the city could go. The thinkers and merchants, but they also are following their own agenda. I would be a bit careful. The city is not as settled as it once was.
Do you know if that kind of scene is very common here, or is that unusual?
It is becoming more common as the local populace are taxed and pressured. There is a growing discomfort.
Oh, so we arrived right in time for revolution, did we?
It seems so. Vi goes and gets her equipment, and when she comes back up on deck, she'll be wearing her armor and carrying her maul. Oh, one last thing, Captain. Do you know of a good place to stay in town?
You will find many an inn, not far from the docks. They cater to the many ships that come and go.
I gathered, but I was kind of hoping, it's always better to go by word of mouth of somebody that knows what's what. So if you can recommend a somewhat honest one, that would be great.
I would be interested as well.
The Broken Tusk Inn is not bad.
Right. Yathi, then? You're looking for a room as well?
Yes,
Might be safety in numbers, and I just point back down to the dock.
I agree. Where did that, little frog go?
Yeah, the short one, yeah.
Frog? Comes a voice from behind Violence.
I don't know. It sounded like you were saying you were a frog or something.
Oh, I referred to him being forced aboard like Frog marched, like
Ah.
kind of hippity hop board.
You notice
Alright.
Dyer is standing almost invisible behind Violence, looking down at his feet.
Are you looking for somewhere to stay as well? Because we had an inn recommended. Violence here says safety in numbers, and, well, it seems the whole city is on the brink of a collapse or something, so.
And he sort of shuffles on his feet and shrugs and then nods.
There was, it seems to be one other? Was there not another?
Norland just he's been observing for the most part, keeping relatively quiet, and he just kind of, when you guys look to him, he just kind of nods his head.
You're coming as well?
Sounds like a plan. Well, if you all have your stuff, let's go.
The main dock area is heavily devoted to commerce. Trading posts, warehouses, shipping companies, and brokers all make up the lakefront. Although not too far a distance from the docks, you can see the shopping district. Shops of all manner of variety are open for business. Food, weapons, clothing, tools, shipping materials, all down to day labourers for hire. You can see a woman walks around the edge of the area. She is dressed in a long skirt with a simple blouse. A cape for warmth is pulled about her. It does appear that she is looking for someone, and seeing your group, she hurries over with some level of uncertainty.
While she's hurrying over, Vi will actually stop, take her coin purse from where it usually sits on her belt, and tucks it inside her shirt, actually.
I don't suppose any of you know her?
Never been here, don't know her.
Nor do I.
Maybe she knows where the inn is, though.
And Dyer, who's standing almost behind Violence, shakes his head.
She is holding a card in her left hand, and she's holding it out towards you.
Do we need to sign something? I'll ask her as she approaches.
No.
No?
Hello. Excuse me. Are any of you Andon Thuriga?
Well, I'm not. That's as much as I can say.
I'm not either.
Mm-mm.
No, but I'm most intrigued by your bookshop. What kind of books do you sell?
Oh, all sorts. History, medicine, all sorts. We have many a collection.
And who are you looking for?
Andon Thuriga.
Andon?
I was meant to be meeting them.
And this Andon was supposed to come in on the ship? Or... I don't recall meeting anyone of that name.
No, I was meant to be meeting them here. It was very very important that I was meeting them here. Yes. Yes.
And who are they?
They were a bookseller. They had some information that I was looking for. Suddenly, a glass vial shatters between you, and a cloud of foul-smelling mist quickly rises and engulfs the group. I need a con save. Your target is
save.
12.
Oh no!
Oh no.
I failed. I'm the only one that
I
failed.
passed.
This will be initiative.
Oh.
Mm.
The mist swirls around you. It is foul and makes you cough and your eyes water. Through it, you can see the girl falling to her knees and she is coughing. They stole my book. Yaffy also misses her go as
Okay.
the foul-smelling, non-lethal poison definitely has got you in a coughing and sneezing, crying sort of fit.
Okay.
Everybody else has a similar effect, but you're able to fight through it and function. You can see 3 figures are escaping into the streets. All are dressed in poor, stained clothing, and each is fleeing in a different direction.
And then I will move the 30 feet.
Nice.
Whoa,
Oh,
nice.
nice one.
Dira's gonna scale the nearby building and run across the roofs. So she's going to be using acrobatics.
Vi takes a quick glance at the two on the ground, making sure that they're just coughing, nothing else, and then we'll take off after the other one, running them down.
Very good.
Okay. Norland, you see a human notices you chasing behind him as he's moving through a group of people. But as you get too close to what he would like, he grabs a teenage girl, spins around and holds a dagger to her neck. Turn around and walk away, mate.
So my great thing was to actually have some great bravery, as I said, and I will use my intimidation to instead try to intimidate him. Let the young one go. She has no value for it. Stop and let us discuss this. Fantastic. So I got a 7.
Yeah, he's not buying it.
Oh,
He
no.
looks. He's a hardened street ruffian. I'm not joking with you, mate. And he cuts her, and she screams, and she starts to bleed. She is not dead, but she's definitely wounded now. Dira, as you're getting close, the ruffian spins and throws a bottle, which lands very close to you. You can see it is a crossroads area, and 2 merchant carts have become entangled. They have overturned, thrown their carts and their goods around the area. The ruffian is looking to jump over them as they are trying to escape.
Like survival? Okay, I'll do that. 14.
Violence! You're on the far side of the docks, and they're busy with crews and merchants going about their business. The smell of the lake, the unwashed workers, and many goods all blend into a unique aroma. The bandit is pushing people, and there's many screams of anger as people are dropping crates and landing on the ground.
Trying not to trample anybody, as she has a fair amount of weight behind her forward momentum, she is dodging through the crowd, caught almost up to this person, reaches down, grabs one of the fallen crates, and then whips it at the bandit's legs. That's a 15 attack. Would be like 4 damage if I had punched them, but whatever it does for the crate. Ideally, I'm going for the tangling their legs and dropping them prone.
Okay, and they have tumbled to the ground.
Can I see a book or anything that they were carrying like that? They probably tucked
Yes.
it away, but...
They have tucked it away, but you can see it in a pouch. Or at least a book. Since you hadn't seen the book previous. But they do have a book.
The next process, or what I'll engage on this, is putting my knee on the back of this guy's back and the usual pulling his arms up behind his back and immobilizing him. That'll keep me busy for the next bit.
Having previously fallen to her knees in a bit of a coughing fit, has managed to get to her feet and, looking around, sees that everyone else has already run off chasing after these figures. Heard a scream from the direction of Norland, so I think she'd run that way. So she will run in the direction of the scream that she heard and end up in the same area as Norland.
He is still hot. You can see that the girl has a cut on her neck. It is not the artery, but she is bleeding. She has been wounded.
Okay. Yaffe is going to pause for a moment, trying to sort of take in the scene, as it's maybe not what she expected to find, and then quickly run through her options and deciding that she does not want to do certain things that would also injure the hostage. She is going to try and cast something pretty simple. So we're gonna try for an Eldritch Blast, because that doesn't injure everyone in the area. So, and come on, cast it.
Oh dear.
Nope, not gonna hit. That's an 8. She is a little bit anxious. It's not that this would definitely hit the girl, but she misjudges a little. She's being too cautious and actually ends up going a little too wide, and a bolt of energy just strikes the ground next to his feet rather than actually hitting him.
Norland fixes the guy with a steely gaze and starts weaving his hands in the air, doing some intricate little pattern, and he says, "Unlike my friend, my spells unerring in finding their mark." And he
That was a warning shot.
lets go a word of power, and some missiles leap from his hands, hitting him for 9 points of damage. Him and only him.
Very good.
And 3 missiles sped from his fingers towards the,
What do they look
the
like?
guy. They actually just look like little bolts of energy. There's nothing. He's they're not given much to overcomplicating things. He's very traditionalist.
The bandit staggers back with the 3 bolts glowing before they dissipate. He looks pale and in a great deal of pain. He snarls and jabs the girl with the dagger, and she screams and falls to the ground as he turns to run. Dira, you have arrived in a park-like area as the bandit is running.
Dyra is still following. Stealth. 11.
Oh.
Dear God.
Because the bandit spins, clearly aware of your attempt at stealth. and fires a crossbow at you. And very luckily, it goes well wide. Bandit, underneath Violence, is not very happy with being there and is trying to not be under there.
23.
Okay, so the bandit in front of us, he stabbed the girl more, dropped her, and ran?
Yep. He's trying to run, but he's not in good shape now. But yeah, he is counting, it looks like, on your empathy.
Yeah, because she does want to. There are two of us, so Yaffy doesn't really know what's going on here, and they stole a book or something. That seems pretty low stakes compared to the girl that's stabbed. So she probably is going to not chase the guy and go try and deal with the stab wound. Can I do a medicine check? Because I
Yes, you
don't
can.
have any stuff. Okay. No!
Oh, no.
It's a natural one. I fail at medicine. So she has looked back and forth between the girl that is bleeding on the ground, the bandit that is making his slow escape, as he's not doing that well either, and making a decision. She's gone and knelt next to the girl, but the girl is panicking, and that is making it difficult for her to even try and assess the wound because she's not able to get a good look at it. She's trying to figure out what she can do, and she's not a medical expert, so really all she's managed to do is get there and try and have a look at what's happening, but not actually accomplish anything.
In any event, if Norland is if he sees him trying to swing or trying to run away, he's going to lash out with his he hauls his quarterstaff out from over his shoulder, and he brings it down and tries to take the guy out at the knees. Well, like I say, I with one hand I draw the staff out, and then grab it with two, and then I swing down and takes the guy right at the knee as he's trying to run away.
Dyer thinks to himself that it's not worth dying for a book, so he's going to jump down on the other side of the buildings into the street.
And he tries to bite Violence, and he succeeds, but the armor is somewhat stronger than his teeth. But he gave it his best go, and he's just gnawing and thrashing and yelling some very uncompromising things at them, but he fails to actually achieve anything other than be ridiculous.
All right. If you're going to do this, we do it the hard way, I guess.
Dara's going to be running back to the crossroads.
All right. So she just stands up, puts her foot on his back, takes her maul. You want it the hard way, and will try to incapacitate him the good old-fashioned way. She brings them all up, and the 10-pound weight on the end comes crashing down on him, ideally not to smash his brains all over the place, but to merely render him unconscious. She's had to subdue many an errant soldier before, so...
Oh, look at those rolls.
Apparently he squirmed at just the right moment, and the maul crashes beside his head, and I just say, you're lucky that missed. The next one might not.
I'm proficient in medicine. I should eventually do something, right? If I just keep trying.
Hey!
18. Yaffy has taken a moment to sort of calm both herself and the girl to the best of her ability. And taking a closer look at the wound, she can see that it is fairly bad. The stab wound, that is, the slight cut on her neck is not too concerning comparatively. So she is going to rip a bit of cloth off of only thing I have that's really cloth is some traveler's clothes, so she's just gonna like rip off a bit of her sleeve or something like that, and with some pressure be able to at least staunch the bleeding enough that we would be able to get her to somewhere that could provide actual medical care rather than extremely basic first aid. But she is fairly confident that this is at least enough to keep her stable till we can get her somewhere that can help her much better.
Well, I guess I can now properly search the other ruffian to see if he's got anything on him that's like maybe some identifying things or something. Just any markings on his? You said he was dressed in black. Is there any kind of marking on his black cloak or whatever?
Nope.
Maybe we'll just take the cloak and see if we can find out where they got it from or something, if they're all dressed the same, which don't know just off the top.
3 daggers, a short sword, and a small vial of some form of, it looks like powder that is mixed with a green liquid.
Hmm.
The bandit, surprised momentarily that he's still alive, scrambles to his feet and tries to smack Violence with his scimitar.
Oh no.
Do something, you stupid bandit.
A 14?
16.
Aha, okay. So he takes his scimitar in 2 hands and swings mightily hard and hits where he was biting, and the edge of his blade also fails to get through, causing him some level of consternation. He's not impressed with the situation at all. Dira arrives at the location with their 2 companions.
And he surveys the scene, seeing Norland rummaging through the one of the burglars, the thieves, and he walks over to Yaffe, who is obviously tending to the wounded, and he kneels down and so looks down at her and then looks back up at Yaffe. Is there anything I can do?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any healing abilities?
I trained in natural medicines when I lived in the mountains. Perhaps I could apply a poultice.
It's a stab wound. Deep, but she will live if we can get her some better medical attention than just me putting a bunch of fabric on the wound and holding it there.
I apparently have a crowbar.
As do I, but I didn't think that had many medical applications.
Violence, please put an end to my suffering.
Ideally. After the scimitar glances off of her armor, she'll step closer, let the maul slide down in both of her hands, the shaft sliding down so that the 10-pound weight is just where her fists are, and she'll bring it up suddenly up under his chin, snapping his head back, hopefully. Apparently you are a slippery one.
How did you miss?
But also, he's not hit her, so they've both just been missing each other forever.
So as the hammer slides up towards his chin, he just jerks his head to the side and glances across his ears, scraping along it and bloodying it, but not doing enough damage to actually do anything to him in the fight.
He swings low as swinging high bounced off armor. He's trying to find a weak spot. And he fails. You feel the clang of metal upon your armor.
She's going to drop the maul, and she's going to slam him in the face with one hand and then give him a jab with the other. Enough being nice. First attack. That's a 12 for 4 damage.
Is a miss.
Oh no.
He again dodges the 1, but the jab catches him and just pops his head back, snapping it back and dropping him slowly to the ground. I'm just going to watch him for a moment as he lays on the ground there again. And as I bend down to grab him and start dragging him back, I just smash him another one in the head with the fist.
Just 'cause.
Just for good measure. I will then stand up, turn to the person whose crate I grabbed because it was getting scattered all over the place, and toss them a copper and apologize for distributing their produce all over the dock. And then I will drag him back to the where the book person was.
And she's not there.
No, she vanished, it looked like. Because when I stood up, she wasn't there anymore.
Oh, and I'll check to see if he has the book.
He does have a book.
I will take that and tuck that into my inside my armor too, so it doesn't get disappeared on me. And then I will look for the others to see what they had for luck.
You see, 2 are like kneeling on the ground next to a figure lying on the ground, and 1's going through the pockets of a bandit. I think.
I've been looking around as I'm dragging this guy along because I just got him by his armor and I'm just dragging him. Are there guards or anything around here? Anybody that looks like
Not that
any
you have
uniforms?
seen. But people have said that you probably don't want to deal with the Spirans because they're,
Corrupt or something?
yeah, just as likely to
Turn him loose again?
be, yeah, or kill him, or arrest you, or whatever
Kill
suits
us.
them, whatever suits them, their agenda at that time.
Was there anyone with this girl that got stabbed, or was she just by herself?
People look a bit more peasanty, townsfolky, like lower class where you are. They're showing a bit more concern. Where violence was once the fight had sort of ended, they all just turned back to return to their business. Not so much nonplussed quite as much as maybe it was a little. Fights might have been somewhat regular, and as his head didn't get splattered under the massive maul, it was in the end not something that involved them, so they're good with not caring about that.
I do show up to the group dragging this guy behind me going, I can't find guards anywhere, and everybody was just yelling at me to throw him into the harbor. Anybody seen the bookseller? I think I have her book.
The book is the least of our worries. Giant lady, we need you to help us carry this poor girl to a healer. Please.
That would be helpful.
All right. Do we know where the nearest healer is?
Yappy's gonna ask a frightened-looking townsperson. Excuse me? Where could we find a healer?
He points. Down there, there's a leaf.
There's a leaf?
Yeah, sign, leaf. Druid's corner.
Oh,
Leaf?
thank you. And then she'll look at Violence and say, if you could assist, I think you are the strongest by far.
Is there a wheelbarrow around here, though?
Sure, why not?
All right. I will dump the bandit into the wheelbarrow and say, okay, bring him along because he might have information that we want. I don't know if you want to tie him up or not so he doesn't just suddenly wake up and take off on you. And then I will gently take the girl in my arms and...
What was Dyra saying?
Is it wise to bring someone who has committed a crime with us?
Well, we can't just leave him here. You can carry him if you want.
He looks dead.
No, he's just
He's not
unconscious.
dead. He's breathing. Look.
I'm going to leave that in my companion's capable hands. I will take the girl and start heading down the street towards where this leaf sign is.
Yappy's heading down the street too because she's looking for the sign she was told about.
And it's about 50 meters away, and you can see it.
So who's bringing the
I don't
wheelbarrow?
know.
That's you two
'Cause-
to decide.
That's yeah.
Because well, Dyer has started heading down the street, and he's
Oh,
looking down at Yaffe and the tall
No,
woman.
Yappy's gone. Yappy's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, and then looking back at the wheelbarrow, going, I don't know. He shrugs, and then he runs after Yaffe
Okay.
and the tall woman.
Dyra may notice that he still has whatever equipment on him that he had before. Like, you might want to check him over first. But so 3 of us head to the leaf place. Did you check the guy in the wheelbarrow over like you checked the other guy?
Sure, I'll search through. Again, I'm looking for any identifying
There isn't any.
features.
These are common bandits. Three daggers. There was a scimitar, unless violence. If not, there's no scimitar, and there is 10 copper pieces.
I would have probably put his scimitar back in the sheath that he was wearing.
Yep.
When I
So 3
dragged him in.
daggers, a scimitar, and 10 copper pieces.
The way I see violence is that she actually could have taken a command position with the guards, but she turned it down. And so she would have had situations where she had to do like military police sort of the other soldiers and stuff at times. So she's fairly used to handling errant soldiers and some of that kind of criminal, breaking up bar fights and dragging them off to the jail or whatever for a while. So we arrive at the Druid's Corner.
And it is on a corner, and it is a very green store that has faded over time. It has oak branches and leaves engraved on the outside that would have been painted a mixture of browns and greens, and at some point would have been very beautiful, but age has faded and peeled some of the paint.
All right. Yappy's walking in.
And there is a older woman in a green overcoat with hood, and she's like, "What? Come into the Druid's Corner, oh, adventurers. What is it you need?"
Someone's been stabbed, so if you could help us out with that.
One of your townfolk, in fact.
And she looks a little bit more concerned at that rather than more silly adventurers. And she points at a wooden table. Put them there.
The wound is deep.
We'll put her gently down.
And she unwraps it and starts to examine. And she says, "Whoever did the initial work was competent."
Why, thank you.
You're the one that stabbed her?
No, I'm the one that put
Ah, oh.
that
Yes, the bandage.
not bandage. That's half my sleeve, but
For a moment, Dyra's face went a little bit pale, thinking that this little tiefling had stabbed an innocent bystander.
And she starts to mix up a salve, and she starts to rub it into the wound, and then starts to stitch her up.
I was looking for guards on the way here, and I didn't see any. Is it always like this?
No, it's not always like this. Sometimes they're actually around, and you never want them to be.
do
They're as big as
bandits-
you.
Oh,
And? Like, why aren't they doing their job?
Because it doesn't pay them to do that.
do bandits always stab your townspeople?
More often than I would like, which of course would be once too often. But times are not what they once were.
While they're chatting, I'll stick my head out the door and just wave in Norland if he's wandering down the street.
So she stitches her up. She puts some stitches in. Thankful the girl is not conscious for that, because it's
Yes.
quite a painful thing. And then she reapplies her. And she says, "Being adventurers, I expect you are broke." when you can manage it, I would appreciate 2 silver for the salve and the work.
Do I have any money? That's a wonderful question. Yaffe will pull out 2 silver and hand it over.
And she thanks it and says, she thanks it. Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being silver.
She does look surprised she got paid for this.
And Yaffe's gonna say, I don't suppose you know who she is because we can't really take her back anywhere.
No idea. No idea, but she can remain here until she wakes up and I can take it from there.
Wonderful, thank you.
Can anybody read this? I'll take out the book where I had it tucked away and
What?
offered to Yaffe or Dyra.
What language is it written in?
It is old and leather-bound, it is handwritten, and in the language of the older scribes. It is difficult to read, but not impossible. A bit like Old English.
The language of, so it's like common but old-fashioned, or?
Yeah, it would be thee, thou, all that sort of ye, old, OLDE kind of. But, it takes some concentration, but you can read it.
I mean, I could puzzle through it, but maybe Norland likes reading, right?
Yes, Norland can take a look at that, certainly.
It is obviously a cursory view, because as by the picture, it's a reasonably decent-sized diary. It seems to be all sorts of things. Stuff about the royal family, stuff about magic, but not as in a magical tome, just more hearsay and stuff like that. Locations, histories, famous people, all sorts of things. It's definitely more of a diary. You get the
But a history of this island, or a history of the
partly
entire Athera?
mainly the island and the city and the area surrounding it. There is, though, it's not insane, like as in you think it's been written by a madman, but it is a diary, so it does. Although it's written largely about those things, every now and again it's also veering off into just things that you're like, oh, he's talking about the royal family, and then it'll be some location. No, it just must have caught his attention on that day or what have you. But it is definitely handwritten. It's not a printed book.
Well, as all true historians know, there is only one royal family, and that is the royal family of Indarasia. The great King Indar and his wife Lucretia. Yes, but this he's commenting on what it's seemingly written about, and he's kind of tisking it the whole way through. But he is providing you with the details of what he's reading at the same time.
So it's a diary. Is that really worth stabbing someone over?
Evidently, he thought so.
Maybe the book lady knows more.
Well, she did say it was her book. We'd better return it.
Huh. We don't know if this was her book or not. One of the bandits did escape, correct?
I don't.
Well, I guess that'll be simple enough to prove, though. When we show up, you can ask her what the book looked like that was stolen before you show her.
There you go.
Well, either way, we have something to tell her. Either we found her book or they got away with it.
I asked the druid who did the medicine work on the young girl what her name is. Excuse me, I'm Violet. Sorry, we didn't introduce ourselves properly. And who might you be?
And she raises an eyebrow and says, I am Mordina Sea Thief.
Mordina, would you happen to know where the Broken Tusk Inn is?
Yes, it's about 180 meters from the dock on the north side.
Could you point from here, roughly?
And she goes, You're going to have to sort of weave a little bit, but it's roughly in that direction. And she points.
Excellent. Thank you.
Are we going there first, or are we going to find the book woman?
I assume the bookwoman, but I wanted to know where the inn was too. I figured she was a good person to ask since she has a shop here. Mordina, do you know where this book person is? Did she give her name? I didn't.
I
Fawn
don't-
Lee. I remember
Uh,
that's what the card said. Fawn Lee.
Oh, you have a card.
Waterleaf Bookshop.
Oh, it's... And she points. You go up there, turn onto that street, and basically go along. It's a bit of an odds and ends of things. It doesn't really have a specialty.
Thank you. Oh, do you have any sleepy time tea?
Something similar, perhaps.
Excellent. Could I get some of that then, please?
And she goes and measures a helping out. 5 copper, please.
I will give her a silver.
And she is appreciative.
So am I for the information.
Thank you again. Please do see that she gets back wherever she's from.
I promise I will do so.
Thank you.
Why did my gold reset? Weird.
I think it happens when the torches update.
Oh.
Bloody torches.
All right. I suppose we go see if this is the right book. A lot of trouble over a book.
I heard books are worth something, so makes sense. I mean,
Suppose I like books as much as the next person. Not as much as Norlin, of course, but I certainly wouldn't stab anyone over one.
But Norlin will answer Yaffe, and when she says that about books, and he says books are the source of all knowledge. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is history. Wars have been fought over books. So certainly a book is worth more than one stabbing of a nobody.
I suppose it depends on the book, and, well, I may not know who she is. I assure you, she's not a nobody to somebody.
Nevertheless, wars have been fought over books. Many people died, both nobodies and somebodies. Wars are always fought over the contents of books.
Wars have been fought over food, but I'm not going to stab someone over a loaf of bread.
Right, and where is that war recorded? In a book.
Well, I won't stab anyone over that either.
Never underestimate the value of a book.
but that's recorded after the fact. The war is fought first, usually for land or such, in my experience.
To right a wrong. Where is the ownership of the land recorded?
By the person who says they own it.
It's recorded in a book.
Maybe, maybe not.
I suppose it depends on how old
He just shrugs,
name is.
thinking, I can't believe I'm getting suckered into a debate with my lessers.
Could be recorded in a
Turns
scroll.
his back. He literally turns his back at that point.
I think he'd probably count a scroll as a sort of a book.
It is.
But
It's a recording of knowledge, the written word.
Isn't the history of a war written by the winner, so it's not entirely truthful?
Biased, yes, very.
So in a manner, books are full of lies.
Yes.
Especially if they're fiction.
Not very valuable then.
A lie can be valuable. All right, well, I suppose we should go ask her how valuable this book is and if it's worth stabbing people for.
How did she get stabbed anyways?
Well, when I showed up, there was a bandit standing holding the girl hostage with a knife to her throat. Norlin hit him with some very, very precise magic, and Then he stabbed her.
Norland stabbed her?
No, the bandit.
Ah, yes, that makes more sense. I'm sorry. Huh.
Pretty overconfident of one's abilities.
Oh, speaking of which, where's the other bandit in the wheelbarrow?
I don't know.
Are you looking?
Yeah.
Is he gone?
The wheelbarrow and the bandit are gone.
Oh well.
All right. Well,
Did the bandit steal the wheelbarrow? Did someone steal the bandit?
I'm pretty
Did
sure
the
someone stole the
wheelbarrow
bandit.
steal the bandit?
Who-
The wheelbarrow was a mimic, and it ate
Who-
him.
Oh,
who-
God.
Were we supposed to bring the bandit?
I don't know.
Anyways,
It sounds as though the guards do very little, so I don't exactly know what we would do with him.
Maybe they took him away.
Perhaps, if they did, it sounds like that would be very unfortunate for him.
regardless, as you pointed out, the problem has solved itself. So,
Yes, we don't have to kill him or not kill him, or debate killing him or put him somewhere or any of that.
I always hated fishing for exactly the same reason. Didn't actually want to catch the fish, because then you had to do something with it. Anyway, oh, look, is that the bookstore there?
Looks promising.
Heading off. It is raining now.
Oh.
Ooh,
The mixed
effects.
smells of the docks are replaced with the smell of fireplaces and cooking as you move further into the town. The streets are cobblestone and the alleys become dim. Faint lantern lights flicker from within the houses. The Waterleaf Bookshop. A wooden sign sways gently hanging from two chains above the storefront. An image of an oak tree set within an inverted triangle marks the weathered placard. Faded black lettering below reads Waterleaf. Through the rain-streaked windows you can see row upon row of books.
So I'm gonna open the door and walk in.
Step in after.
The door creaks open as you enter. The shop has the unmistakable aroma of a bookstore. The shelves are overflowing and make the aisles somewhat cramped to maneuver. Scrolls, papers, books, volumes of tomes cover every available area of space. The floorboards creak as you walk, and the shop itself feels left behind by time. The girl that handed you the card comes rushing out. Oh, did you find my father's diary? Please tell me you found it.
What does it look like?
Brown, leather, old and used. The strap was torn at some point. I think it just from use and age.
Yappy, who has not seen the book, is looking at Violence.
Oh, we all saw it because I handed it over to Norland to
Oh,
look at and
true,
read,
true,
right?
true. You gave it to Norland. All right.
Yeah.
Yappy's looking at Norland.
We'll kind of slowly and dramatically haul it out and open it up and say, I think this is written in the tone of a diary. This might be the item you are looking for, no?
And she takes it and clutches it to her chest, and it is clear that it is of some sentimental value to her. She places it on the main bench, which is where the till and the like is kept, and she takes from it a bag and hands it over, and she says, "Thank you for your trouble." It is a small leather bag with the sound of coin.
This is your father's diary?
Oh yes, he was fascinated by old legends in the city and the city's royal family. While he was researching some of the histories of the royal family, he went missing some time ago. He was a romantic at heart and could be taken by any sorts of flights of fancy. It's possible that he found himself in some dangerous situation of a natural making rather than nefarious, but gone he is. I have spent my life with this second love, this bookstore, and have tried to solve some of the mysteries that he was enthralled by. One of those was of a druid who used to have ties to the royal family. His name was Gilgazo. He had been working with various groups to improve security in the region. The mountains are impressive, but not impregnable. His information is a little sparse, but my father believed that there was a group formed with the mutual goal of protecting the realm and its values. My father's writings read like riddles, strange language and metaphors. This was sometimes his code and how his mind worked. But I do think that I have found one area that he considered but never went to himself. If you are looking for work, I will pay you for your time and a captain for the passage to the location.
She wants us to go... Where?
On the search for adventure and answers.
I didn't come here to search for adventure. I was told to go and find friends.
And you found them.
Have I?
Mm-hmm. We've already been on one
And
adventure
Dyra
together.
looks around.
She's talking about us.
Are you my friends?
Why not?
We beat up bandits together.
Well, and Dyra sort of shrugs and well, my bandit got away though, but
Yes, you and Norland beat up bandits. Dyra did something else, and I tore my sleeve off.
But we did it together.
huh. Okay, I find this acceptable.
I'm fine to go looking for adventure or something.
I need to check to see if I can find my sister, but once that's attempted, at least, as long as I know she's safe, then I'm at loose ends. I could certainly do that. I need something to do to pay for my passage home.
I can pay you 200 silver and 12 gold, as well as a pearl necklace.
Wait, did she say 200 silver and 12 gold?
Yes.
Do you know if there's like a merchant's guild or some such in town?
There certainly would be.
Do you belong to it?
Yes.
Do you think that they would have a list of all the merchants in town, or at least the wealthier ones? I'm trying to track down my brother-in-law.
They might. I would assume that anyone who has paid their fees they would have record of. Would they make that list available to just anyone? I cannot say.
Would you then, as part of our deal for this little adventure, do me a favor and check up on my sister who's in the city? She is the recent bride of a supposed wealthy merchant of the city, and I was going to track them down and just make sure she was okay, but if you could inquire in that for me and maybe get an address or something, then that would be
If
greatly
you leave
appreciated.
me their details, I will do my best.
Great. I will do that. I'm in.
The place is called Broken Top Bay. It is a grotto. It's not easy to get to. You will need a skilled captain. One, however, can be found at the Bluefin Tavern. If you find one that agrees, send them here and I will pay them. I will also pay for you to stay at an inn of your choosing.
All right.
And Dyra looks a little bit flabbergasted. This seems to be very generous of you.
It was my father's life's work. I have no hope of answering all of his riddles, but it will bring me some happiness to know that I have added some completion to his work.
And what was it exactly we were supposed to find at this place?
I'm not sure. It could be any number of things he talked about, but I do believe it could possibly be linked to a Lost Druid, to Gilgazo. No one knows what happened to him.
Is he likely to still be alive?
I would find that unusual. But there may be some evidence of the fate that befell him.
Was he a human or an elf or someone that might still be alive with a longer life?
From what I could ascertain from my father's writings, he was human, but had lived longer than the average. Possibly some magical interference of some kind that was slowing the aging process.
Strange.
There is a possibility that if true, there may have been a cost. It's hard to tell. He wasn't sure.
What's to stop us from just saying that we went to the place and found the guy and then came back? Is there some kind of proof or something that you would like?
If you find anything that is actual proof, it would be beneficial for me. I would be very thankful, but there is not much I can do if dishonesty is your modus operandi.
Well,
I mean,
I'm
I
not
don't
a
think we
dishonest one. Go ahead.
Planned
sorry.
on it.
I do not think so. You returned the book to me.
Well, it did seem rather important considering someone got stabbed over it.
Oh dear. I don't really understand why that would be. The book has value to me, and while it's filled with the intricate puzzles that he looked into, there is it in of itself is not really of value to anyone else.
Do you think they targeted it on purpose, or was it just the first book they grabbed?
I don't know their motivations, but I don't believe it would have been targeted. It's not been up for sale or anything like that, that it would have been known and targeted along those lines.
Would anybody else be interested in this Lost Druid?
Possibly the odd bookseller, but again, it's not something that is sought after. My father, this was his personal work, but he wasn't a known published author. That this was the missing book that hadn't been available, that would have completed a set for a fan or something. It was just something that he worked on.
But you said he had this druid had a connection to the royal family?
Yes, he had interest in this particular druid. He found the idea of an organization that had a set of values and ethics to try to improve the realm something of a fascination. And he tried to find as much information as he could about it.
Do you think that organization still exists?
I do not think so.
Because your city could really use it.
I would agree. Many things have fallen into disrepair over the last years. I do not know if it has to do with the royal family or not.
Well, I'm all for. It's been a long day and had my quota of beating up people. I think we have directions to a tavern, unless you have a suggestion of a better one.
Dyra looks concerned. You have quotas to meet?
No, I just was referring to the fact that it was a workout.
Oh, okay.
Where were you heading?
Broken Tusk Inn was what was suggested by our ship's captain.
And she goes over and writes a note and hands it over. It is the back of one of her cards, and she says, I know the proprietor there. Give them this card. And she signed it on the back and said that she will pay for the four of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 of you. And she said that will suffice, and I will sort payment out with them.
Excellent. Then we can check out this Bluefin place tomorrow and see about a captain, and then get back to you on that.
And she looks very interested and very happy.
I'll speak with her for a couple more moments, giving her my brother-in-law and sister's information.
And she writes it down.
I just hand the card off to someone else, whoever is willing to take it.
I can take it.
And then we're off to the tavern, I guess, or the
Yeah.
inn.
And Dyra will sheepishly follow.